Imagine stepping into a world where every moment bursts with a kaleidoscope of sensory experiences. Synesthesia is like having a secret superpower where the boundaries between your senses fade away, where sounds might paint colorful images and numbers could have their own personalities. How does this even happen? In simple terms, our brains usually keep senses separate, but in synesthesia, these channels blend together. For example, when a synesthete hears a musical note, they might actually see a flash of color. This fascinating phenomenon not only makes life more vibrant, but can also spark incredible creativity. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to create art that feels like it comes from another dimension? Think of famous artists like Wassily Kandinsky, who once described hearing colors, or the composer Olivier Messiaen, whose music was filled with vivid visual imagery. Their unique experiences allowed them to tap into creative depths that many of us only dream about. By fusing different senses, their brains created unexpected connections, like mixing colors on a palette to craft masterpieces that resonate on multiple levels. But what does this mean for us beginners trying to understand the link between synesthesia and creativity? It's as if the brain is hosting a grand dinner party where normally separate guests, our senses, start mingling and sharing ideas. This crosstalk creates a richer, more interconnected experience of the world. For instance, when you see a beautiful sunset, a synesthete might also feel a gentle melody accompanying the view. This blending not only deepens their perception, but can also inspire unique, artistic expressions that break traditional boundaries. Is it possible for non-synesthetes to benefit from this sensory mixing? While genuine synesthesia is something many are born with, scientists are exploring ways to encourage similar cross-sensory connections through activities like mindfulness, sensory training, or even experimental art practices. Imagine training your brain like an athlete trains their body, exercising not just with words or numbers, but with colors, sounds, and textures that interact in surprising ways. Some research suggests that even a hint of this cross-modal thinking can lead to fresh perspectives and innovative problem-solving. Consider a simple example: a designer who listens to a piece of music and, inspired by its rhythm, envisions a flowing, abstract form that then becomes part of a stunning visual artwork. Or think of a writer who, by experiencing the taste of a meal in a multisensory way, describes a scene so vividly that readers can almost taste the flavors themselves. These are everyday examples of how the collision of senses can lead to groundbreaking creativity. So what's the takeaway here? Synesthesia teaches us that there's beauty in blending experiences, showing us that our senses might be more connected than we ever imagined. By embracing this idea, we open the door to exploring our world in a more integrated, imaginative way. Whether you naturally experience synesthesia or simply admire the art it inspires, the phenomenon invites us to ask, could opening our minds to a fusion of senses be the key to unlocking new realms of creativity? The answer might just be as vibrant and surprising as the world of synesthesia in itself. Synesthesia occurs when neural pathways responsible for different sensory modalities become cross-wired, leading to involuntary and automatic sensory blending. Brain imaging studies show that synesthetes have increased connectivity between sensory regions, particularly in the fusiform gyrus and superior temporal sulcus. This altered wiring enables unique perceptual experiences such as associating colors with sounds or numbers with texture. Functional MRI Furry scans of grapheme color synesthetes reveal hyperactivity in the V4 color processing region when viewing black and white numbers. This is like a piano where pressing one key simultaneously plays two notes. Synesthetic brains activate multiple sensory regions for a single stimulus. Synesthesia enhances memory by providing additional sensory associations, strengthening neural encoding and retrieval pathways. Studies suggest that synesthetes perform better on recall tasks due to their ability to link abstract concepts with vivid sensory impressions. This suggests that cross-modal activation in the brain creates redundant encoding strategies, improving information retention. 2006 study, synesthetes demonstrated superior memory in recalling long lists of numbers, associating them with colors or spatial positions. This is like adding extra labels to a filing system. More sensory connections create multiple retrieval pathways, making information easier to recall. Synesthetic individuals frequently exhibit heightened creativity due to their ability to merge sensory input into novel associations. Research suggests that their brains have enhanced crosstalk between the sensory cortices and default mode network, which is linked to imagination and divergent thinking. This heightened connectivity allows synesthetes to visualize abstract concepts in unique ways, often excelling in music, painting, and poetry. Famous artists like Wassily, Kandinsky, and musicians like Duke Ellington used synesthetic perceptions to compose visual art and music with cross-sensory influences. This is like mixing different colors on a palette. Synesthetic minds blend sensory inputs to create original artistic expression. Studies indicate that synesthesia has a genetic component, with certain genes influencing cortical connectivity patterns. Researchers have found that synesthetic traits run in families, suggesting heritability, though experience and neuroplasticity also play roles in its expression. Early childhood exposure to enriched multisensory environments may strengthen or reinforce synesthetic connection. A twin study in 2018 found that monozygotic twins were more likely to share synesthetic traits than dizygotic twins, indicating a genetic influence. This is like inherited musical ability. Genes provide the foundation, but practice and experience shape the final expression. Some synesthetes report enhanced numerical and spatial reasoning due to the automatic association of numbers with shapes, colors, or spatial positions. fMRI studies show that synesthetic number processing recruits additional parietal and occipital regions involved in visual spatial reasoning. This may explain why some synesthetes exhibit extraordinary calculation skills and numerical intuition. Mathematician Richard Feynman described experiencing numbers as having specific visual and tactile qualities, aiding his ability to conceptualize equations. This is like solving a puzzle with multiple clues. Synesthetic brains receive additional sensory feedback when processing numbers. Two primary theories explain synesthesia. The cross-activation hypothesis suggests that adjacent sensory areas in the brain are overconnected, while the disinhibited feedback theory proposes that typical sensory inhibition is reduced, allowing crosstalk between modalities. Neuroimaging supports both theories, with evidence that synesthetic connections are both structural, excess neural pathways, and functional, weakened inhibitory control. Diffusion tensor imaging, DTI, studies reveal increased white matter connectivity between sensory areas in synesthetes compared to non-synesthetes. This is like a road network with extra bridges. Information flows more freely between different sensory regions. Studies have shown that temporary synesthetic experiences can be induced in non-synesthetes through neurostimulation, meditation, or psychedelic compounds. Hallucinogens like LSD activate serotonin receptors, increasing sensory integration and producing synesthesia-like effects, while mindfulness training enhances cross-modal awareness. These findings suggest that synesthetic perception may be an underlying capability of the brain that can be unlocked under certain conditions. A 2014 experiment using transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, temporarily induced color grapheme associations in non-synesthetic participants. This is like activating a hidden software feature. Synesthetic perception may exist latently in all brains, but requires specific conditions to manifest. Emotional synesthesia involves involuntary associations between emotions and sensory stimuli, influencing perception and empathy. Brain scans of emotional synesthetes show increased connectivity between the limbic system, emotion processing, and sensory cortices. This enhanced linkage may explain why some synesthetes report heightened emotional responses to music, colors, or words. A study on mirror touch synesthesia found that individuals could physically feel the emotions of others, displaying increased empathy and social cognition. This is like hearing a sad song and feeling physical chills. Synesthetic brains amplify sensory-emotional connections. Synesthetic associations can be leveraged to enhance learning and cognitive performance by integrating multiple sensory cues into educational materials. Research shows that multisensory learning improves retention and comprehension by engaging different brain networks simultaneously. Techniques such as color-coded memory aids or sound-assisted visualization mimic the natural advantages of synesthetic perception. A 2019 study found that students who learned vocabulary with color associations had a 20% higher retention rate than those who used traditional methods. This is like learning a song with lyrics and melody. Multiple sensory inputs reinforce memory and understanding.